Welcome viewers, I'm Cosmas Moredi Muriongi, and today we are tackling stages of addiction, whereby first of all defining what is addiction, because to the layman out there, addiction is something that isn't so much clear to the people. What addiction is? Addiction actually is a chronic relapsing mental disorder, whereby despite the negative consequences that the user gets, he only continues to use, because for the term chronic, it is only that it is inside him, as in it's something like cancer. It's an illness that one does not come for, first of all, to know whether it is dangerous or not, and then it's a relapsing. That means that even if it goes away, it comes back in a while. Even after treatment, the addiction itself comes back when someone experiences with a drug of choice that he was used to. So the first stage is the pre-contact stage. This is whereby one comes into contact with the drug of choice or the substance that he uses on his line to addiction. And at first, in the experimental or in the pre-contact stage, after the pre-contact stage, now we move on to experimentation stage, whereby one is in contact with the substance that he or she uses, and then he goes on to experiment. After experimentation, this is whereby now one uses it and he gets the feeling that it's a good feeling that he gets, and he goes on to experiment. If one gets negative consequences out of that first experience, or the effects are negative according to him, maybe for example, if it's a cigarette one smokes and you happen to, that smoke chokes you, believe me, that person cannot go ahead. But if you've started with that cigarette and you've got that first feeling of your restlessness has been handled, and you are cool, you find yourself getting the effect of nicotine into your body, believe me, even the next time you're going to do it. And for example, something like alcohol. If, for example, you have had your first contact with alcohol and you've experimented, and you've maybe thrown out all the content that you had drunk, there's a possibility that you aren't going to continue with that drinking of alcohol that you had started. And if at all you got that high feeling, the high effect, believe me, you're going to continue with the imbibing, and that leads to regular use. Now in the regular use, this is whereby you are drinking so that you manipulate maybe your behaviors or your feelings. Maybe you've woken up in the morning and found that you haven't got so good feelings, and that you want to maybe manipulate the feelings that you have, so that you've got to get the good feeling, in quotes. And with that, you're going to enter into the next stage after experimentation, whereby it's social use. And in social use, you use with friends and in a certain setup. It isn't a must that you are alone, and by using with the social units that you are with, whereby you aren't using every day. There are some occasions, or there are set just set events whereby you do use maybe the certain setup of friends, and with that, as your usage increases from the regular use, you're now going to enter into the habitual use, whereby Councillor Elvis will be tackling it.
Mine, I'll just continue to share about the four main stages of drug addiction or substance addiction, and I'll continue from stage 3. Stage 3 is risky use or abuse. So in this stage, you find that a person now begins to prioritize his or her drug of choice, yeah, And he even goes to an extent of maybe he doesn't care how are other aspect of his life or her life are affected, but he begins now to give more time to his or her drug of choice. And some of the warning signs, yeah, in this stage are physical and psychological cravings. We find also that a person may be a person may experience irritability. Yep. So those are some of the warning signs of in this stage. And also it is in this stage that a person develops what we call tolerance. We find that after you continue to, when a person continue to use his drug of her choice for a long period of time, yeah, the aspect of tolerance kicks in, because that little, maybe if in the experimentation stage, if he began with a little amount, you see that he builds up, yeah, on the amount, and that's now where the tolerance kicks in. And before even we discuss about tolerance, there is something that we call hypersensitization. When here hypersensitization, what is hypersensitization? Hypersensitization is this is where a stage where now a person, when he uses that drug, he experiences what we call pleasure after use. So it makes a person yearning to use that drug, his drug, or his or her drug of our own choice, so that he can, because of that sensitization. Now, after that, now a person has that sensitization, he'll continue, and after that hypersensitization, now the tolerance now kicks in. Now the person will want to continue and continue and continue, and that's where we find that this biological craving coupled with psychological that psychological aspect of wanting the drug, now that leads us to stage 4, the final stage, which is drug addiction and dependency. Yeah, so that is the final stage, the stage 4, drug addiction and dependency. This now it is coupled. It is characterized by the following acts, or the following characteristics. One, we find that now a person here uses the drug, yeah, not even worried about its negative consequences, because a person knows exactly that maybe after he or she uses a certain drug, maybe in the morning he experiences withdrawal symptoms, maybe he experiences loss of appetite and whatever. Now a person doesn't care about those negative circumstances, but instead he continues to indulge in that drug use. That is one of the signs to know where maybe your loved one or you as a person is in that stage, the final stage of addiction. We also find that when you are in addiction, your physical health and mental health is affected. How is physical health affected? Physical health is affected in the sense that you become malnourished, yeah, because many a times a person, when a person ingests a drink or a drug of his own choice, maybe most of the drugs that I know of tend to decrease a person's appetite, and that in turn makes a person not to eat a diet which is required. Or maybe a person may have an appetite, but due to him maybe ingesting more of the drug, he finds that maybe that even he doesn't remember that he was supposed to eat. For example, let's take alcohol, for example. When you take alcohol, you see, you'll get that highness. And when you get that highness, you've corrupted already your mental faculty. So you cannot be able to think that, hey, this is the time to eat. And by doing so, you end up not even eating for 3 days, because you have that high affinity to ingest that alcohol. You'll again, maybe in the morning, go and they say that you go and throw a lock, and then you find yourself that you'll continue in that behavior. So physically you become malnourished, you lose weight. You find that a person maybe was just a person of stature, but with time, maybe when he continues to indulge in that drug of his or her own choice, he begins to lose weight. Mentally, how are we affected? Stress kicks in. I'll again use alcohol because it's the most common drug that is or substance that is abused here in this country. So we find that alcohol, when you ingest alcohol, maybe let's say you had money, let's say 10,000, yeah, and you've spent that 10,000 in one setting, not knowing where you will find other source of income. Because when you intoxicate and when you get that, what I said earlier, that tolerance, you'll have that tendency to take more and more and more, yeah, so that you can feel now satisfied. Yeah? So when you take more and more and more, so let's say you had 10,000 shillings, you went and finished that 10,000 in one setting. When you wake up tomorrow, yeah, not knowing where you'll work to get that money that you spend it the previous day, you'll find that stress kicks in, and when stress kicks in, your mental health is automatically affected. Also, you'll find that that stage also, the fourth stage, is characterized by dysfunctional families. You find that now, when a person ingests that drug of let's say, I'll again use the same example of, let's say, alcohol. If a person is too much into alcohol, even forget that maybe he has a family, or he even forgets that maybe it is the right time for him to have a family. Because as I said earlier, in stage 3, a person here prioritize his drug or her drug of her own choice, and leave other facets of his life. So he prefers to continue even indulging more and more. For example, even if a person had a family, maybe say 2 or 3 children, he'll prioritize taking alcohol rather than providing for the family. And that's why you find that there are emerging issues now. Is a emerging issue. You find that family are totally dysfunctional, especially we always see in the local dailies, especially in the mountain region, the Mount Kenya region. You find that most people are now in this stage, the first stage, yeah, because you will find there are very many dysfunctional families there, you see, due to that alcohol abuse, yeah, because they have reached in that stage. So also you'll find that while in that stage is where a person hits what we call the rock bottom, yeah, because you've indulged in taking that, let's say, alcohol for a long period of time. Now you don't know how else can you overcome that thing, because it has become part of you. And that's where also the people realize that they didn't realize that maybe they could go up to that magnitude when maybe they were just experimenting. But now they find themselves, they are unaware now that they are in that stage. They just find themselves, they just hit rock bottom. And this is the stage whereby when a person find himself, or when you have even if you have a loved one who is in that stage, you should first of all, this is a stage where a person can make his life or break his life. Because let us again revisit those the characteristics. I mean, the last character is a person becomes even a person can begin to engage in criminal activities. In what sense, people will ask? You'll find that maybe you have that drug of your choice. You have developed tolerance about it. So meaning you'll have to take it more often, maybe on a daily basis. And as you know, currently in Kenya, we don't have many people lack jobs. And mark you are in the addiction phase, the last stage of addiction. So you learn to use your drug of your choice each and every day, maybe at even more often, maybe at a thrice, four times a day. So you'll find yourself that if you don't have any source of income, how will you get access to your drug of to the drug of your choice? You'll end up even engaging in criminal activities. You'll end up stealing people's things, so that you can just find that money, so that you can just go and ingest the drug of your own choice. You just steal. So it has when you reach the fourth stage is where that people now should begin to open their eyes and begin to find it. Because when you are in the first stage, if you don't go looking for help, definitely in an addict's life, their end goal rotates in three. They can only end in three areas. In a rehabilitation facility for correctional purposes, in jails, because as I've said earlier, you end up even engaging in criminal activities so that you can satisfy. Yeah, because we find that when you are in this phase now, you'll do anything, yeah, so that you can find the drug of your choice. So if you engage in criminal activities and you are caught in the act, what do you expect? You end up in the prison, yeah, because of that act, because it's unlawful in Kenya. Yeah? So when you engage in criminal activities, yeah, you will end up in jail. Yeah? And all the way, you know that this is all about addiction. It's what has led you, or what has propelled you to engage in such acts. The third option is a person may overdose and even die in the death in the process. Because when you overdose, many a times we have seen in the local dailies, people took something poisonous, they died. Yeah, so it is an issue that, so the lives of an addict revolves around those three areas. So when you see your loved one or you yourself, because I believe this is a platform, a social platform to reach many people. Maybe if you are watching this message and you've got those characteristics, yeah, maybe you are in the final stage. First thing that I like to urge us is to first seek help. Just seek help so that you can retrace your steps back, where you are before you begin engaging in substance addiction. So find yourself. So first seek help, because when you don't seek help, you'll engage in criminal activities. You find yourself in jail. You find yourself in the wrong side of the law, and you'll end up in jail. Number two, if you don't seek help when you continue, because you've hit rock bottom. You know, when you hit rock bottom, if you are a wise person enough, you'll begin to look for ways to try to dig yourself out of the hole. Because when you hit rock bottom, is like you've dug your hole too deeper. So you should try to dig yourself out. So when you don't try to dig yourself out and you continue in that age, you'll end up, I've just highlighted an example. You OD on your drug of your choice, be it alcohol, be it whatever. You OD on it, you end up dying. Simple. Or you take your drug of choice, you don't eat for a long period of time, to become malnourished enough. You just, maybe you go take alcohol, the next day you see that you went to be there with the Lord. So I like just to urge us that if you've got those warning signs that I've highlighted in the last step, try to seek help. And where do you find help? You see, right now, like this platform, this social media platform, this message, I believe it will reach people. When they watch this, they should know that they should first seek help. And where do you seek help? In a rehabilitation center. Because when a person is sick, in general knowledge, when a person is sick, the first thing he does is to go to the hospital to be treated. Equally, when a person has addiction problem, what is the hospital for addicts? It's the rehabilitation center. So you should seek help in the rehabilitation center. You'll get help, because there in those facilities, you'll also get people who are just like you, who will embrace you, who will be able to work with you. You'll find there professionals like us who will walk you through the stages of how you can again gain, maybe if you are a person who was functioning normally, how we will walk you through the steps, how we will retrace your steps again to be a better person of yourself. And believe you me, when you end up in a rehabilitation center, we'll take you through a series of programs, and those programs are tailored to help you to be a better version of yourself. So the product that you will be coming in will be totally different to the product that will be going out, because of the program, the whole program in any rehabilitation setup. So I like just to urge us that we should always, even in a layman's language, if a person has a problem, the first thing he does is to seek help. So equally, if you have this problem of addiction, the first thing you should do is to seek help, because I've already highlighted the three options. If you don't seek help, the other two, they are the unpleasant options. But the third one, which is a rehabilitation center, it is the most favorable. the most favorable choice that you can get if you are an addict. But if you don't try to find help through maybe this the rehabilitation program, you might end up in these two other unpleasant choices. So I like again to urge us that when you see this message, if you have a loved one, if maybe you yourself and trying to battle this thing of addiction, just try to seek help. And I believe that whenever you seek help, when you seek help, you'll be better. You'll again be the better version of yourself. So I'd like to take this opportunity again just to thank Mr. Mutugi for giving me this opportunity to again sensitize and to create awareness on the stages of addiction and how a person can know the warning signs and how a person also can seek help. Thank you.